Okay, so on project 6, this is what it looks like. There are no numbers to fill in on the chart on page 2. All you have to do is answer 2 questions at the bottom here. So pretty easy page. It's a comparison of yields on some certificates of deposit. So it tells you the amount deposited, the annual rate, the number of periods per year, the number of the term. Okay, so how long did it last? This one was just for 6 months or half a year, which was 6 times, it's monthly. The amount you would have, the amount of interest, and what the annual yield would be. But again, they filled all of this information out for you. You just have to answer these 2 questions down here. It says the total number of periods for a 2.5-year CD compounded monthly is what? Okay, well, do we have one of those? Right here we do. Okay, this is compounded monthly, we know, because there's 12 periods in a year. The term was 2.5, so 2.5 years like they suggested, and so that is 30 periods. Next one says annual yield exceeds annual interest rate for CDs of $2,000. These are all $2,000 with a minimum term of how many years? So we want to compare the annual rate and the annual yield. When does the annual yield, the number in this column, get higher than the annual rate? See, these 2 are exactly the same. These 2 are exactly the same. These 2 are exactly the same. When does this number become bigger than this number over here? Okay, when does that happen? How many terms in a year is that? So just look in the chart, find where that happens, and find your chart. Okay, here's this page, the 3rd page of the project, and it does ask you to fill in some amounts. I redid the chart a little bit with $60,000 instead of 80, so again, don't just write down my answers. Make sure you figure them out with the numbers in your chart. But I'm just going to show you how to fill these in. I put the formulas you will need up here. Okay, so if you need to find the total number of periods, which notice we have 3 of those that are left blank, it's really easy to do. You just take the number of periods in a year times the term in years. Okay, so for example, for this first blank on mine, where'd it go? There it is. We take the periods per year times the term in years. 1 times 4 would be 4 total periods. Down here, 2 periods a year, 4 terms in a year. 2 times 4 gives me 8. And finally, this one's compounded daily. It's 365 times a year. And it's for 4 years. So we just multiply 365 times 4. When we do, we get 1,460. Okay, so that's how you find the number of total periods. I'm going to go to a new page here. It's clean. Okay, so we already did these. Let's move on. This one wants to know the amount. Okay, and there's the formula that we used earlier. Okay, you take the amount deposited. So let's make sure we're looking at the right line. The amount deposited was 60,000. That's the amount we put into the account. So here's the formula using amount deposited times 1 plus the annual rate in decimal form. Okay, so what's the annual rate? In this case is 3.98%. We want to move the decimal 2 places to the left to change that to a decimal, and that gives us 0.0398 divided by the periods per year. Okay, how many times a year is it compounded? 4. Okay, so we did the amount deposited plus or times 1 plus the annual rate divided by the number of periods per year. We end the parenthesis, and then our exponent up here is the total number of periods that it's in for. It was 4 for 4 years was 16. Okay, so now let's calculate that. The first thing we're going to go ahead and do is divide here 0.0398 divided by 4. Okay, and then add 1 to that. Okay, so we did our division and then added 1. So now you should have 60,000 times 1.00995 to the 16th power. Now, order of operations tell us we need to do this 16th power first and then multiply by 60,000. I'm going to bring up a calculator real quick so that you can see exactly what buttons you would push. Okay, so we start with the 1.00995. The exponent button on this calculator is right here, and this is just the calculator on your computer. So the X to the Y button, then put in 16 and equals. So that gives us 1.17165. We want to then multiply that by 60,000. So just leave that number in your calculator and then go times 60,000. And we get $70,299.01. We want to round to the nearest cent. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in. That would be our answer, $70,299.01. Okay, so now we only have one blank left on our spreadsheet. It's the interest earned. The interest earned is fairly easy to find. All you have to do is take the amount, the final amount on your loan, and subtract the amount you actually deposited. So in this case, the amount, here's our amount column right here. The amount for this one was $70,161.84. We subtract from that the amount we deposited originally, which was $60,000. And when we do that, we get $10,161.84. And there you have it. Okay, so we've filled out that chart. Again, these are different than the numbers on yours, so don't just automatically use my numbers, but use the methods we did to complete your own worksheet. Now, you'll notice underneath your table, you have a set of questions they want you to answer. It says the institution that compounds daily is which institution? Okay, so how can you tell if you compound daily? Well, you would be able to tell that based on the number of periods per year. When they say institution, these are our institutions. Those are the names of them. Okay, so again, periods per year tells you how many times a year you compound. If you compound daily, that would be 365 times. So find the group, or the person, that compounds 365 times here. Okay. Next, the institution that compounds monthly. So again, you want to look in your periods per year. If you compound monthly, what number are we looking for? Monthly would be 12 times. Put that institution's name down. The institution that compounds quarterly, how many times would that be a year? So again, periods per year, quarterly is 4 times a year. Who does it 4 times a year? Next, the institution that compounds annually. Annually means each year. So that would just be 1 time. Okay, so again, looking at periods per year, find each of those values, and those are the person you write down for your answer. Okay, so next, at the institution that provides highest annual yield on $80,000 in 4 years. Okay, so here's the annual yield. Find the one that's the highest. What's the annual rate? So find the highest number here and then look over and see what its annual rate is. And its total number of periods. So once you find the highest yield over here, then when you find that highest yield, look across, find the annual rate, and then the total number of periods. And then number 6, 2 annual rates that produce lowest yields are what? Okay, again, here's the annual yields, which 2 are the lowest, and what was their annual rate. So find the 2 lowest numbers in this column and then write down what their rates were over here. So hopefully that helps you to complete project 6A.